Just give me a countdown.
We're
Oh,
live.
there's the countdown.
We are back.
Appreciate the warning.
It's been it's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while since you're the old well.
There's been no wells.
Yeah. When was it? What was the last one we did?
It was the Euro. Is it Euros? Yeah, Euros one, wasn't it? Before the Euros, where we did it at Ben's fucking mirror museum.
Oh yeah. That's a while though, isn't it? That's in the summer.
It'd have been before the Euros, yeah.
Mental.
It'd been about June, wouldn't it? Be about June.
Mm.
Because it would have been, I think it was like a week after we came back from Liverpool, wasn't it? When I went to Liverpool and you met us there.
Oh yeah.
So it must have been about then.
I mean, it's been a long time coming. This, to be fair, we didn't really mean to stop. It was just kind of obviously a lot of things were happening. Um, People are busy, obviously, and then I went back to uni. You were, I don't know what Ben's been doing, to be honest. He's always doing something, hobbling left, right, and centre, or whatever. Never looking at his phone, anyway. That'll explain his absence tonight, as he's unavailable. But he has said that he hopes to be back for the next one, so we will see. And then, obviously, you've been planning a new life.
I have.
New addition to the family, which is we'll just cover that first because I mean, one is massive news, lovely news, and then there was a bit of a dark time, and then you've come through the other side, and everything is fine. So it's sort of a miracle story that obviously I've addressed with you before coming on, that we just kind of just talk about it. So first of all, congratulations, mate, on the
Thank you.
birth of your beautiful little girl.
Yeah, she's magic.
Everything's, like you said, everything's good now, but it was pretty rough for everything go, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really ropey. I said she's doing great now, and if you'd have met her today or met her last week, you'd never have known anything was wrong. But yeah, it all went wrong almost at the start for us. But it's one of those things now that you look back and it makes you appreciate it even more. But like a lot of people go through stuff like this during birth and pregnancy, so ours was maybe slightly extreme case, but unbelievably we've come out the other end, and fingers crossed that she develops really good, but all the signs are there that she's just like any other baby. Eat, sleep, shit, repeat.
I mean, like, because obviously I messaged you, and then I realised that because I was travelling back, it was my mum's birthday, and I was travelling back for Christmas, and then I realised I remember the date, and I'm sure was she due on like the 13th or something.
That was it, yeah, 13th.
Yeah, so that's why because you'd been quiet for a few days, and then I just messaged you about something, and then I messaged you again like, oh, any news on the little one? And then obviously you were like, yeah, not good, can't really speak. And I was like, oh, I was like, that's obviously immediately like that's not good news. But I didn't think of anything to the extreme that then you video call me. And honestly, I've never felt so sick like in my life. I didn't know what to say. I didn't there was nothing I could say, there's nothing I could do. I can't imagine what you and Bethany were going through at that time. Like honestly, it's just it literally is like a nightmare, that situation.
It was one of those things where you think, like, I've never had one of those moments in my life where you think, oh, I'll just wake up tomorrow and it's not happening. Yeah. I've never had that where I've felt that in my head, and then you kept waking up and you're like, fucking hell, we're still in this situation. But yeah, everything. Bethany had a really good pregnancy. She was amazing all the way through, and she managed to get to being in labor on the 10th of December and didn't even know she was in labor all day. And I came home and I was like, well, you must be in labor because everything was adding up basically. I was like, you must be. And yeah, by the time that we'd actually rushed from the house and got to the hospital, it was within an hour and a half of getting to hospital. Lila was born. So
Same.
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, and when we first got to the hospital, everything was fine, completely normal. Bethany was having slightly different, more constant pains rather than contraction pain, so she wasn't really getting a break with her pain. And we found out later on that what happened to Bethany during birth, or what happened in the lead up to the birth, was the reason for the constant pain rather than contraction pain where she'd have a break. Yeah, we got to the hospital, everything was fine, normal, and they said, yeah, she's really, she's not far away already. So we got her in, we got all the tests on Bethany like they do, normal procedure, just give Bethany all the help she can get, tests, find the heartbeat, all that stuff. Yeah, all good. Yeah, so then we went into another room then, and it was one of those things where, she went to the labor room and you think, no, it's still going to be ages.
Yeah,
And
just
it
a
was just
waiting game kind of thing then, isn't it?
a waiting game, but there was no waiting. It was happening, and it was happening fast. And we were both, obviously, Bethany, not at the time, she couldn't really think, she was in agony. So, but we were both happy that things were moving along really fast. There wasn't going to be a long labor. So they fairly quickly got things into gear and started getting Bethany strapped up, just to make sure that the heartbeat's still there during birth and all that. And that's when they couldn't find a heartbeat. So it was sort of like a fumble around saying, oh, she might have turned or she might have whatever. We just can't find the heartbeat. It's again, it happens. It happens that you can't find the heartbeat, or it's picking up Bethany's heartbeat or whatever. We were like, nothing to worry about. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But it turns out that, yeah, I won't go into the details, but something happened just before the birth, which meant Lila's blood supply and oxygen supply was cut off. So she was, she was a stillborn, really. She was born not breathing, put on to Bethany, and then she was like snatched away quite quickly. So that was hard. I tried not. Bethany didn't really see her, didn't have a chance to even look at her. I did. I had about maybe 2 seconds, and I could see that something wasn't right. So immediately I sort of like, oh, fuck, and looked away. I didn't want to have a vision in my head,
Yeah.
For future. So instinct kicked in and said, just don't look, stop looking, because you don't want that image. If anything didn't go right in the future or whatever, you just have that image in your head. So I looked away, and yeah, she had resuscitation then, or CPR in the room with us for 19 minutes.
That is nice.
And usually we were told on so many occasions that once it goes past the 20-minute mark of no oxygen to the brain, so oxygen starvation of the brain, it's not good for the brain going forward. If she did survive, we were told so many times that it would likely be severe brain damage, as she went so long without oxygen. Usually, if you're pre 20 minutes, you far better chance. But as soon as it goes above the 20,
obviously the less chance that the less time off oxygen or whatever is obviously better, isn't it?
Of course, and it made it even more difficult then, because we had a couple of weeks until we got scans before we found out the results, but we weren't sure how long she went without oxygen inside Bethany. It's crazy to think that minutes matter. It was literally minutes, and seconds mattered at that point, where was it 21 minutes? Was it nearly 30? We don't know. So yeah, she was, somehow they got her back after 19 minutes, and oh my god, the staff at Bronglice, like I knew a few of them, and you're just thinking, like, I don't know what the cutoff point was to give up, but they kept going 19 minutes while we were in the room. and yeah, they got her back, and that was amazing. Like, honestly, the happiness and relief in the room without knowing the consequences,
Yeah,
like you
just
just
the
think,
fact that she was there, like,
yeah, she was there and they got her back, but we're not doctors. We didn't know how much of an effect not breathing for that long would have at that point. We were just like, oh, she's back. Right, she'll be in maybe in a bit of care for a little bit, but she'll come out. But we soon found out that it was far more serious than that. So the Bronglite staff contacted Swansea Singleton Hospital, which has got a special paediatrics ward down there, and they flew a team up by air ambulance to save her life. It's honestly crazy. And then we had it was a long day at Bronglite then in Aber to seeing family and stuff, and trying to tell everyone was honestly the most heartbreaking thing I've ever done in my life. Telling people was worst day of my life, like bar none.
well, yeah, I could imagine that's not like, it's not even something like I'd ever dream of having to say, like, you know what I mean? It's like I can't imagine being in that position, and obviously everyone's excited to
Yeah,
hear from you at this time. They know what's coming, that Bethany's due soon, and and then like imagine like you ringing your family and they're like, oh my god, like this is a phone call,
yeah,
and it's you on the other end, like having to say that. Like obviously, like you braced me for a bit of bad news, but I didn't expect it to obviously be that bad.
yeah,
So, like I thought maybe like something went wrong with Bethany and she was like suffering quite a bit, or what, you know what I mean? I didn't even think of that, not one bit. And
yeah,
then like you told me, I was like, fucking hell, I didn't know what to say. I was just like, just
yeah.
felt ill, to be honest.
It was horrible. It really was. The first week, it was really hard for both of us. We were both numb. It wasn't even that. To be honest, we were upset and we had moments where we just cried out of nowhere. When you're on your own. But it wasn't like, I can't even explain it. It was like numb. We're just numb.
Yeah,
It was like if someone would talk to you and you just looking straight through them. We weren't eating. We weren't. It just,
yeah,
I don't know. We were just numb. We came. We were then told. We were told 2 or 3 times. We had people come into the room. Consultants from Swansea came into our room in the hospital. Then they came in. I think they came in twice, and they told us you might want to come and see her because it could. There's been complications again, and this could be now the last time that you see her now. So I've initially didn't want to see her. To be honest, I didn't want to see her. I didn't want that association and to have an image in my head, but Bethany did, and I didn't want to leave her
yeah,
on her own. So we went to see her, and yeah, she was, wires and fuck, I've never seen so many wires in my life. But yeah, and that happened again because basically what they were doing, they were trying to get blood into her to make up for the lost blood, but unfortunately she was losing the blood faster than they could pump it in because of oh my god, mine's gone blank. Because once the body's gone through so much trauma, they cool the body
right,
for up to 3 days to try and preserve the brain, like you do with anything else. When you put food in the freezer, it's to preserve the food.
yeah, yeah,
So they keep the baby's body temperature down for about 3 days to try and preserve the brain, but because they were doing that, she wasn't holding blood. I'm guessing you need to be warm or something to hold blood. So they
yeah,
gave us some medication and what have you, and they basically told us we either stop the cooling process now and save her life
yeah,
by getting blood in her, or we keep her on the cooling. We keep her on the cooling, and she's just going to keep losing blood, and there's just, she'll just die basically. So they said we're going to take her off the cooling. Like, it was sort of a decision that wasn't put in our, it was we just said just do what
yeah,
you would do. So they took her off the cooling, but the risk you take when you take her off the cooling is the brain damage. Then so it was basically save her life or let her die, or save her life with possible severe brain damage.
That's a fucking. I tell you what, that is a, like, that's not a choice you want ever, is it?
No, it was sort of taken out of our hands. It was like, obviously we'd have made that choice anyway. We just didn't care at that point. We didn't care. We just wanted her to survive,
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, they wanted to get blood in it, and she did. She held the blood, which is amazing news. Obviously, it was still brain issue was a massive problem, but yeah, they got the blood into her, and they were worried about transferring her to Swansea because stuff can happen while you're in an ambulance or whatever. So they got her transferred to Swansea, and she made it. And from there on, it was just every day she was making progress, and it was sort of like the nurses, they couldn't believe that she was doing it so fast. It was things were happening fast. Within 3 or 4 days, she pulled her own breathing tube out, and she was breathing on her own. Like, we hadn't seen her face really; it was just been covered with tubes and wires, and they were monitoring her brain. This is basically why she was sent to Singleton. It's just a special ward. They got special equipment to monitor the brain, and they said her brain doesn't look too bad, but she's just having seizures, and you could see she was having seizures and such. And they said perfectly normal. It was to be expected. That will stop. So yeah, they got that going. And it was sort of every day we went in then, and we were expecting the boot and the flute kicking the teeth. We were expecting it, and it just never came. She had a bit of an infection. They gave her some medicine or whatever they gave her to sort that out, and that immediately stopped the infection. Like, again, it was one of those things that is almost unavoidable not to get an infection from all the plastic and stuff that was in her.
Yeah.
So she had that, and yeah, she was making progress. And then I think it was about a week into being at Swansea, she had her MRI then on her brain, and that's when it came back that the brain was, well, the nurse that came to tell us said that her and 15 other nurses and consultants had been on a video call waiting for the results. They were all in the staff room waiting for the results.
Yeah.
And they said the brain's come back normal, and it was just like, yeah,
that must have been some news to have. Like,
oh mate, I can't even talk about it now. Like, that is oh my god, it was amazing. Like we were happy that she was just alive, and at that point we were feeding her through a tube. It was almost like starting to get to normal, other than her feeding properly, and she was still on a little bit of oxygen and stuff. But yeah, unbelievable. Like, the consultant just couldn't. She wasn't. I don't think she was meant to tell us really, but she just couldn't hold it in. She was like, okay, like, I got to tell you, but the first opinions come back and it's normal. We'd have to wait for a second opinion first, but she said this is a great sign that her brain is just no problem. So
truly is a remarkable story.
That's one of the best. Again, you go from one of the worst to one of the best. I had her in my arm as well. While they were telling us, and it was just like, you cry and you can't wipe your face, and then you hold it and you're like, fuck, can't see anything, but amazing. Yeah, and then she was transferred then to Carmarthen Hospital for another, I think we were there about 8 or 9 days again, over Christmas. At that point, we thought she might get out for Christmas. That was sort of what our hope was, but yeah, it wasn't the case, and that doesn't matter. She was out by Boxing Day then. Yeah, and it was fucking mental, honestly. We had a week in Swansea and then just over a week in Carmarthen, and then she was home. And once she was home, all the emotions came out then, because you never think you're going to get to this point.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
You started off to where you've now got to.
Yeah, well, as you know, where we live, she literally would have gone past here in an ambulance. She'd have been 10 foot away from her bedroom.
Yeah,
and she was nearly never. And then obviously crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
I
like
mean, it is just a modern day miracle, really. And
ah,
I couldn't honestly, when you told me like everything was fine, and I was like, I haven't felt that happy for a long time, because like no one deserves to go through that. And then obviously, like with you being like one of my best mates, like the last thing I could ever imagine is like you having to go through that, and Bethany, you know what I mean? And I'm so relieved that they've done absolute wonders in the hospital, and that your little
ah.
girl is some sort of second coming of Jesus or something. I don't know, but like I'm so relieved.
Yeah, it is a mental story, and one that obviously we gave her a middle name which represents the NHS. Again, I'm not going to go into it because I'm just not. But her
Yeah,
middle name represents the NHS, and I honestly, wow, what a I've always said it. It doesn't like if you go in with a broken finger or something, yeah, they can maybe be a bit slow or whatever to sort it out. But if you're really, 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 really in the shit like we were, they sorted everything out for us. Absolutely everything in Swansea and Carmarthen, everything was sorted for us. Swansea especially, it was, we got down there and you're like worried about accommodation. No, we've got you accommodation. We've got you food. Everything's sorted for you. Just forget about everything. You just make sure you come here every day to see your girl. We'll sort everything else out. And that was it. We had 3 meals a day, and we had accommodation there for a week in a 2-bed house. It wasn't like we were cramped in some tiny room or anything. It was a 2-bed house with a kitchen, and they put you up. They just it's incredible the system they have for people that are in that situation that we were in. Incredible, and that's forever in debt is like honestly, can't even. You can't even. The NHS will just never have. I'll never have a bad word ever again. Not that
yeah,
I did before. I always appreciated the NHS, but I like incredible, and people need to realize losing it would be tragic, tragic.
100%. I don't think people realize, actually. Like, I see so many people like bash the NHS because, like you say, they've waited like a few hours or whatever. Like, it is what it is at the moment. It's like, it's understaffed. They're underpaid. They're underfunded by the government. Like, I'm not really sure what anyone expects, but like you said, when shit hits the fan,
Yeah, they're there.
they will sort you out.
Of course they
Like,
will.
people will, and I think people need to really just understand that a bit. I think.
They
Uh,
do. They do, and like the people, this these pay rises that they're getting are honestly disgusting. Because throughout the 3 hospitals, I think we had obviously you always get that you always get one, don't you? But I won't go into her. But one that we weren't keen on. But virtually every other staff member, I, you just wonder they come into work and they work in these conditions with babies that are really super ill every single day, and they are so happy and so cheery, and they pick you up every single day. It's not coming in like in Swansea, for example, you can tell that the experience was there with them, that they'd done it a million times before. Maybe not so much with Lila. Lila was surrounded by premature babies. It wasn't her case was so unique with
yeah,
being a full term baby. But every time you came in, there was like, oh, she had a bit of a blah 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 overnight, but since then she's been amazing. It was always a good news.
yeah,
They just they knew how to converse with you in a way that gave you hope every single day. Um, and oh my god, like how they work under those circumstances, and like, I'm sure they do have bad days, but we didn't see one. They're just all like mums in there. It's crazy.
superb stuff, honestly.
So
And now you're back home. She's settling in, and you've had a few rough weeks of sleep, which has been superb to see, because I've
yeah,
laughed my head off every time you've sent me a video. Um,
yeah,
but
it's one of those things now. It's when you have a bad night or whatever with it, you just remember and you just think, okay, who cares? It's why it
yeah,
doesn't matter now. But yeah, she's been amazing since coming home. She's amazing. So she passed her hearing test and everything like that. And so yeah, she's doing magic. And she'd probably say she's probably a bit ahead of where she should be, if anything.
Oh well, that's like you say, that's just even better news, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
But
that's like the biggest news we've had
yeah.
since not doing the pod, and obviously we've gone like you went to hell and back there, but to come out the other side and with everything being fine, it's such a real, it's just a great story, really, and I felt like we had to cover that first, and um,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So that's
but
it.
yeah,
And my
again,
dad, it's like it doesn't sink in. I don't know when it sunk in for you, but obviously we had 2 weeks, the first 2.5, 3 weeks. We obviously didn't really get to do anything for it, change nappies. Nothing was, everything was done for us. So,
yeah,
and we didn't have that immediate connection with her. We didn't hold her for nearly a week. I don't think we didn't even hold her. So it was, um, I don't know. I don't know if it has sunk in, but it's just become part of life now. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean? When
It's just something that's inside you, like you always think like, oh my God, like, how, like, you just kind of know what to do.
yeah, you do well.
You know what I mean? You don't have, you don't go and like watch like a tutorial video, or you don't, you know what I mean? It's like change
No,
movie, you just do it. It's not
yeah,
rocket science. It's quite easy to do, or,
yeah.
feed them from a bottle or hold them properly and stuff like that. It just kind of comes natural, doesn't it? But like I said,
So
I
that
can imagine it was a bit hard for you with obviously not having any sort of contact with her for a while. That's like, how did that affect you in a way? Did that, you know what I mean?
we were doing little bits in the hospital towards the end of the time in hospital.
Yeah,
They basically wanted us to wean us in Carmarthen. They said, all right, because she was still on a little bit of oxygen then. It was the tiniest amount, 0.04 or something like that. So it's barely anything, but um, they were saying, oh, right, we want, obviously we were sleeping. They gave us a room on the ward in Carmarthen then to stay in, and they said, we want to put you in there with her overnight with the monitors and stuff on, just so you can, have your first night with her. And it was sort of progress from there. Then it was sort of like the second night in hospital. Then in Carmarthen, they took the monitors away and completely. She was nothing on her face, and so this could be your first normal night with her. Now the monitor night was the worst as well, by the way. Jesus Christ, because that thing's so sensitive, and obviously when her sats drop,
oh,
it starts beeping.
beeping.
Oh my god, honestly, all the time. But it happens when you're sleeping. Because you're in such a deep sleep, your sats
Yeah.
drop. So it kept happening, and oh my god, and obviously your heart's skipping a beat, and you're like, oh, but it's fine. It's just because the monitors are so sensitive and stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was a good transition actually when we got home. It was just such a relief that we were happy to do everything. So yeah, she's 3 weeks now tonight. 3 weeks, 3 months tonight. So sorry, 9 weeks tonight. So
right. Yeah, that's,
nine
yeah.
weeks.
Bloody hell, that's time flies, man.
Oh, it's mental. They grow fast as well in these early years, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You wait till soon be like 8, 9 months, and she'll be starting to crawl and stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh my God, like what's going on? It literally just happens.
Yeah. I said, so you didn't have that moment where you were like, Jesus Christ, I've got a child I'm responsible for? Or was it just
I mean,
you didn't
I
have
think,
a moment where you were like,
I
holy,
think I did. I was like, I was like, what, 19 when I had Amy. She's 12 in a week.
mental.
Um, no, hang on, what's the date today? No, 5 days, yeah. Um, Unbelievable. I can't like you can't like Ellie was 8 the last week of Jan, and I'm like, where's that gone? Like 8 years. Um, but yeah, honestly, like time flies, and but it's like I don't know. I think it's more of a mum thing, but the mothers are always like, oh, like I don't want you to grow up. I want you to stay. But I love them growing up. I love watching them grow,
Hmm.
like and becoming like the people that they're becoming, and like getting their attitude and stuff like that, and becoming their own sort of personalities, and
Person, of
it's
course,
just
yeah.
great, I think. But then obviously I like Haley will be like Jackie and Haley, they'll be like, oh, I don't want you to grow up, I want they like mums tend to want them to stay small.
Yeah.
But no, I love it, I do. But it just makes me feel old now, obviously. Like I have a 12-year-old in a few days, so
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, like I'm 30. I'm 32 this year, and I mean that is just insane.
Oh, mental, that is
Um,
mental. No, so I said, we're obviously seeing her grow up fast now. We're going through a stage where you don't realize how fast she's growing up until you see a picture of her from 6 weeks ago, and you're like, holy shit.
yeah,
But she's at the stage now. We're lucky that she was born really small. She was born 6 pound 9, so she was born
yeah,
really small, or like a really good weight to be born at, slightly under normal probably, or slightly, she's born light, so she's still only probably about 10.5 pound now. So she hasn't she's still at what babies get born at. Babies
yeah,
get born at her weight now, so she's still super small. She doesn't look like it
yeah,
in pictures, but in the flesh, she's still so tiny.
yeah.
So we did get sort of a baby phase with her. Thank God she wasn't born. If she was born 11 pounds, she'd be she'd be massive now. So would have missed out on that bit then.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, she's doing great.
good stuff.
So,
Good stuff.
so fatherhood is like, I don't know. Bethany and I had a bit of a night the other night where it was sort of it was our first night, both of us together without her.
Yeah,
And it was the weirdest thing. We were just sat in the I came home and Bethany was sat in the living room, and I was like, all right, what are you doing? She's like, nothing. I'm like, oh, should we make dinner then? It's like, we sat here then. It's like, there's nothing to do. It's the weirdest thing.
yeah. Like,
It's
well,
like,
you get used to it, don't you? You get used to it. Like, she's like permanent fixture in the house for
yeah,
like forever, basically, or until she grows up and moves out, obviously. But for the next 10, 15 years of her life, she's going to be in like everyday life, which
yeah.
is like mad.
It is. It's odd when she's not here now. It's just so strange that your brain can so quickly adapt to a different way of life and living. Obviously, you do have the lack of sleep and stuff like that, but
Yeah,
your body sort of learns to deal with it the best it can.
yeah,
And you sort of see then a 4 or 5 hour sleep, especially with Bethany, who's doing it more than she does a lot more than night feeds than I do. Obviously, I'm with me working and stuff. She does it in the week.
yeah,
Um, but she is sleeping really good through the night at the moment. So touch wood, that stays.
yeah. If you keep her in that routine, then fingers crossed, everything just like you said, just goes like clockwork. Then it's all right.
Yeah. Should we move on
Yeah,
to
yeah. Let's. Well, I would say move
even
on
more
to.
depressing things?
Yeah, I was going to say happier times, but I'm not sure if it is. I mean, I don't really. I just don't know what to say at the moment about Man United. I just had enough. Like, I always thought I got to the stage where obviously I thought like where I didn't think Ole was a man. I didn't like, I thought he'd done, I didn't think he'd done a bad job. I think he'd done a good job, but he'd taken us as far as he could. I was very much like, I was never one of those who like disliked him, and like, I wanted him to succeed as much as anyone. But I felt it was the right time for him to go. Like the results we had towards the end of his tenure were horrendous. But then and then obviously you've got this situation now where Ranić's come in, and we have improved in a way because our results are there. Like we've
But he
got,
hasn't. But he hasn't had a.
we're
He
not
hasn't had a big.
conceding many, but it's not been a case of we've just gone out and battered everyone. Like when Ole came in, we were beating everyone 4-5-0 and stuff like that kind of thing. It was like the new manager bounce wasn't crazy.
It hasn't been there. It hasn't been there at all. We haven't.
Yeah,
Look at the opponents, Jay. Look at the opponents we've played up till now. Who's the
yeah,
best
oh yeah,
team?
of course.
Who's the best team we've played since he's come in?
Probably Wolves.
Wolves.
Yeah, we got hammered.
Everyone else has been sort of bottom 3, bottom 4.
But like West, I think our best game. Oh, West Ham is probably the best team, and we battered them at home. We just
I didn't see that.
Well, we controlled the game, and then obviously we scored last minute. But considering West Ham were like flying, and they were, pretty attacking. Bowen or Antonio, all that, they were like pretty nullified. They didn't do anything really. I think they had like one chance, which was towards the end, where like Souček had a free header, which he glanced wide.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was like all us. But at the same time, again, we looked just like final ball or the final third. We weren't
Lacking
creating. But then the last few games, then it's been a complete difference where we've kind of controlled the game. We've had, what was it, something daft like 70 shots over the last 3 games.
70 shots, 3 goals.
Like, and it's like,
it's gone the other way, isn't it? Now,
yeah,
from creating like nothing and scoring one. No,
you can't blame the manager for that. These players have got to start putting the ball in the net. But then, Burnley, for example, 2 very soft disallowed goals. I'm sorry.
I think the Harry Maguire one had to be given. That is correct. We had one the other week, and it was exactly the same. Obviously, I think it was Ramsey, wasn't it? Jacob Ramsey at Old Trafford, and it was so blatant.
Blocking off Cavani, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it's similar with Harry Maguire. Knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, so, I still think it's a bit soft. That in comparison, it wasn't a case of like Ramsey basically stood there and like shoulder checked Cavani, but Cavani wasn't looking at the ball. Whereas obviously Maguire's coming back from an offside position. Like you say, he does know what he's doing, and it's like a bit of a nudge.
One thing I will say, it wasn't his marker. It wasn't that guy's marker. It wasn't Varane's marker.
Anyway. It doesn't affect the goal.
No, it wouldn't have. He'd have been behind Varane. He'd have been behind him.
The second one, again, is just ridiculous.
Yeah, like pathetic.
The ball went in. We celebrated for like 5 seconds, and then the liner put his flag up, and I was like, "Well, what's he putting that up for? Is it offside?" Clearly,
why couldn't that go to VAR? Why couldn't that not go?
Foul? And it's like, well, why isn't it checked? Or maybe it was, and they just went, "Oh yeah, it's a foul," and you're like, "What?"
If he'd have blown up straight away, as soon as he saw it, the liner saw it, and then Mike Dean blew up, I'd have been like, "Okay, well, probably nothing we can do about it now." But how you can go back to that and go, just fucking rubbish. There's gonna be no goals in the Prem if those are given.
Yeah. But again, it's no excuse. Like, we come out second half and we were awful. Yeah. Like don't get me wrong. Like Burnley played well second half. They obviously came out and they're bottom of the league. Like they've got to pull some results from somewhere, and they're not going to be down playing United at home. It's like a cup final for them. It's like, you know what I mean? They always somehow turn up against us. And like, it's just so frustrating that we were just so. You could tell the first 2 minutes of the second half, I don't think we controlled the ball. We didn't hold on to it. It was bouncing about back and forth in like our half, like fall into them. They just wanted it more. And then I'm just sick to death of Harry Maguire as well.
He's just had a really bad season, isn't he? Like, really bad.
Yeah, and it's just not changing. It's like the same kind of mistakes over and over again, and it's usually it's him and Luke Shaw. Like, Shaw, what's he doing? He's playing him yards on side for just no apparent reason. Why step? Like, it's obviously, I don't know if it. I mean, you can say it's like maybe Euros hangover or
no,
but I mean, like, Maguire's played like game after game after game since coming to United, and I can maybe feel like, well, yeah, okay, he could probably do with a break, but just give him one.
I don't know.
I can actually take him out of the team and be like, look, you're not playing good enough at the moment. You need to sit down and you need to just, sort your head out or something. But
United have dug their own hole, haven't they? Yeah, they've dug their own hole because he's captain and he's 80 million, and until another manager gets in again, probably is like the thing. You're not going to sell Harry Maguire now. He won't be sold. He's not going to be sold in the summer. He's not going to be sold next summer. He's an 80 million pound asset. There's no longer an 80 million pound asset.
Oh, they can't. He's not even 50 million.
The club, that's what I mean. But the club will see that now as a failure. Yeah. So they won't want to sell him. They'll be like, no, just fucking keep playing him. Fucking make it work, all right?
Yeah.
But I think he's a big problem, and I think we've got a problem with most of the back four. Really, I said Wan-Bissaka, fuck me. Great one-on-one defending, great. Unfortunately, there's like 7 or 8 dynamics to a football game, not just one-on-one defending and putting yourself in shit positions to be a good one-on-one defender. Not good enough going forward, not good enough positionally. Hence why he's lost his place to Dallo, who, although is playing well,
Still,
isn't just
he can,
just
he's
better than Wan-Bissaka.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, his crossing
Um,
still is also awful.
yeah, but he's obviously a lot better on the ball.
Yeah, he does bring more, obviously, attacking.
Yeah,
What I like about Dallo is the fact that he'll do the overlapping run to help the winger out. Like, I found that a lot. Like, I thought first half against Burnley, Luke Shaw did that a lot, and obviously we scored the goal from him
yeah.
overlapping Sancho, and those two were kind of playing well. But then it was like non-existent then second half.
So is
Like,
it a coincidence that Dallo comes in and Sancho's all of a sudden like way better? Way
yeah,
Sancho's had his best 2 games back to back. Middlesbrough, obviously
yeah,
not great opponents. Middlesbrough and Burnley, but he's outstanding. He's been outstanding the last 2 games.
yeah.
Shim Meg's that the
Oh,
Burnley
yeah,
guy in the corner
yeah.
was like 3 times.
Yeah, like he's like, but that's what I mean. But again, like obviously we talk after almost every game, and you had your kind of reservations about Sancho and stuff. I kind of always knew that he was going to come good at some point. I feel sorry for him that the fact that like this, like I think the last 2 games are like literally must be his first back-to-back 90 minutes.
Yeah, I
Like
said it wasn't
so
reservations. It
no,
wasn't
but
reservations,
no, but
but he needed
I
to
think
pull his
it was.
finger out his ass,
Yeah,
basically.
I can understand, but at the same time, I felt sorry for him when he was only doing like he was playing like half an hour here, 45 minutes here, um,
Yeah,
and but like I think I just don't know what's like we're just such an up and down team all the time at the moment. It's
yeah,
like you have like you see some progress and then we're boom back down, and then it'll be a case now we've got to pick a manager come the summer,
yeah.
and then it's like right we've got to start again. Then we're losing. Look, I mean, it looks like Pogba's off, obviously. Lingard's going. Mata is 3 years too late going, but he's going.
Matic, maybe Van de Beek.
Is Matic contract out?
I don't know.
Or
Henderson.
but how old is Matic? He's ancient anyway.
United going to have a
No,
massive overhaul.
Van de Beek's going to come back and he's going to get another chance with a new manager. But it might not work out and he could be gone in the January. But it's and like you say, they've got positions where, like, ideally, we don't really want to buy another centre half. But when Maguire is this bad,
Yeah.
you can't rely on him.
But I said that to you before, didn't I? You fix one place and
Yeah,
then you move on to the next one. And by the time you've moved on to the next place and fixed that, you fucking guy that you've just replaced in the other
yeah,
position is not good enough. I find that's been like that for United since Fergie left. It's just we're replacing players who we just bought all the time because they're not good
yeah.
enough.
But like, and obviously that's obviously a recruiting issue because obviously,
Yeah.
like, we I looked at it to begin with and I was like, oh, Maguire's come in, he was solid. I'm not saying he was like a world beater, but he improved our defense from what it was when he did come in. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, he's fallen off a massive cliff. It's a case of whether or not he can get back to average, or if that's it, that was his peak, and he's just never going to recover. Is playing for someone like Man United too
Too
big for
much.
him?
Yeah.
Especially being the captain. Like, he's getting leathered. Even when he was playing well, he was getting leathered on social media. Like, people didn't like him and stuff like that. And you're kind of a bit like, I think it's a bit unjust. But I can understand this season he really has been off it.
He just doesn't exude captain though, does he, when he talks?
No. And like you say, when and then he comes out and the way he sounds, there's no enthusiasm, there's nothing, and he's just sounds like a bit of a drab bloke.
He's just robot. He's just
Yeah,
a footballer. He's a
yeah,
footballer, is what he is.
yeah,
And you get players that we do have in the squad, like, well, to be fair, I don't think we do. I think Bruno's probably one of the only ones that would just fucking say it as it is. He does
yeah,
come out in interviews and he says something that isn't like, oh, yeah, no, we just weren't good enough today, but we'll
yeah,
try and be better next week and we'll work really hard
yeah,
in training. Oh, thanks for that. Cheers. No point interviewing.
yeah, yeah. But like that's, I mean, there's obviously like Roy Keane did that thing, didn't he? After the Maguire interview, but of some other game, he was like, "Oh, I've heard it all before. Oh, going to do
Yeah.
better," and he took the piss out of him. But he's
Yeah.
right, it's like they just come out. They're trained to just
Yeah, the
say
media
the
trained,
same
yeah.
things, just so you don't cause controversy or ask more questions in the press, blah blah blah, and But it's like it's for the fans, it's just boring, and it's the same same with the social media posts, and they come out, oh, it's not good enough, got to do better, we'll keep working. Yeah, but you've said this now for fucking 3 years,
It's
the same
horrible.
people, and you're not changing, nothing's changing.
Social media is horrible for footballers. I don't know why they bother having it. I really don't. If you want it, go make a private account. You don't need to be on, if you want to see things on Twitter, go make a private account. There's no point you being on there.
But I don't like. But I think it'd be better if they were themselves on it, not through other companies.
Yeah, but they just can't. As we've seen in previous weeks, that footballers can't be fucking trusted to do some things. So
yeah, obviously, but it's.
But they've got to be monitored by their clubs, otherwise there's gonna be fines every week for saying something. But it's all self promotion at the end of the day, isn't it? That's the only reason they have it is to self promote.
Oh yeah, it's like a brand, isn't it?
It's a brand. They are their own brand.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting the way football's got on at the top level. I hate it. But there we go.
But yeah, like I said, so obviously it looks like it's like, I mean, the big word at the moment is like Pochettino's back into favour, isn't he?
Unfortunately.
And like at this, but then last night, obviously, the Overmars thing. Have you heard that? Mark Overmars left Ajax.
Oh, okay.
Because of apparently inappropriate messages to female colleagues.
Right.
Like it literally broke out of nowhere, and apparently him and Ten Hag were like really close, and he's a big thing of him staying. So now he's gone. Ten Hag's come out and was like, at this moment in time, I'm just thinking about this season, but he's like, I'm disappointed about Overmars, blah blah blah. Obviously, it's not right and all that, but it's very much like, it could be a case now that he could be going, right, now's my time to go.
But I mean, Ten Hag's not going to be at Ajax for the rest of his career, is he? But it's one of those things that's scary that you think if he waits one more year and ends up going to Man City, fuck me, we might as well just call the league off again for another 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And it's like, if obviously, I feel like I saw Dog tweet earlier, and he was like, every poll I've seen as well, he said every poll that he's seen between like Ten Hag and Pochettino has only had one winner from the fans' point of view, and that's they want Ten Hag, not Poch.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, and then you just hear that they're like, oh, they really like Pochettino, and I'm like, yeah, but why? Like, why don't you listen to the fans? You look at you look at Ten Hag's record now at Ajax. He's working on a shoestring budget. They've scored over 100 goals this season, and I think they've only conceded like 10 or something daft. They play, the players that we have suit the system that he plays. Like he plays like a 4-2-3-1. We're overloaded with wingers and stuff, those kind of players to suit that system.
Yeah.
Ajax model is very similar to what Man United like to try and do and breed youth and all that sort of stuff. It's almost like the perfect fit. But then you've got this fucking boardroom that we've got who just don't care.
Yeah, but you can just tell that, then obviously we don't know what goes on within the club, but it was like the Mourinho thing when we hired Mourinho, where it just felt like it just stinks of they want him. For some reason, they want him. And you felt with Jose, even when he was at Chelsea and stuff, you're like, he's just going to be United manager one day. You can just see it coming. It was like one of those things. We were waiting for it to happen. And I feel like that would pop.
Social media phenomenon as well and stuff. It causes headlines. It brings in, you know what I mean? It's just a revenue club at the moment, and it's just really. I just don't know what the hell's going to happen.
But surely Ten Hag would be a cheaper option than Poch. Surely.
Well, it depends, isn't it? Like, is Poch going to get sacked? Does he then become available? He's free.
Quality. Yeah, bloke that's just been sacked from his last 2 jobs. United go and get him.
Yeah.
He's got sacked by Spurs. Spurs manager. I don't want a manager sacked at Spurs. I don't care what he worked with there. He still spent over 300 million, and they didn't win anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, he'd be my second choice.
Oh, I'd look elsewhere still.
Really?
He couldn't win the league in France last year. How do you not win the league in France with PSG? How?
Yeah.
And even this year, I watched them the other night. They got knocked out of the French Cup the other night.
Yeah.
And they had Messi and Mbappe, and he's moaning about having to manage these egos. Well, you come to United, you can have exactly the fucking same. They're even bigger egos, if anything, the way they go about acting. So,
but like for me, it'd be like Ten Hag. Definitely get him.
And whoever comes in, you'll back him. I don't care who comes in.
like again, it's all like rumours, isn't it? But Ranić's leaning more toward Ten Hag because he used to be in Germany, didn't we buy him?
And he's not thick.
And yeah, like, so the all I hope now is the fact, obviously, like that clown has gone finally. Woodward is out, and he's finally left. And then all I want now is this Richard Arnold to just do the complete opposite to what Woodward did, and just let people like Ranić and this Murtaugh, whatever, just them do the football. They do the decisions, and then he just says yes. Like, don't be like, oh, what about him because he's cheaper, or what about, like, make a list. This is what we need. This is how we think we're going to get back to the top. Like, you can't just hire Ranić in a like consultancy role like that to just not listen to the bloke.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's already started, doesn't it? With obviously, like, these are just rumors, but I think more than the Zakaria one, but that Haidara rumor, like, it might all be shite, but it felt like the noises coming out of the club were Ragnick says he wants him, and the club have gone, no, mate, you're only here 6 months. You're not having anyone.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's just been batted away. But I think people need to get a grip with like transfers and stuff. Like, just because there's a player available doesn't mean it's the best choice. Like, is Dennis Zakaria going to take you to the next level, or is he just a player because he's cheap? Like, you want him because he's cheap.
That's the thing. He'd just be someone who'd come in. He'd improve our midfield at the moment, but then it'd be a case of, like, in a year's time, he's just one of those average players. Like,
I haven't seen enough of him, but if he was any good, Bayern Munich would have signed him in Germany.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think he's had, like, again, injury problems and stuff like that. So it's a case of, yeah.
I get it. It's a bargain, but it's still 100 grand on your wage bill every week. It's not like it's a free transfer. Do you know what I mean? But I get it. You don't get full. He's a full international and stuff, and plays regularly for Switzerland. I get that, but I wouldn't personally just you know what it's like. As soon as a player gets linked with United on Twitter, oh, why everyone wants him all of a sudden? It's like, oh my god, like, just because they've heard it a link. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, never heard of the bloke, probably, half the people.
Yeah, but it's one of them. I think I just think, yeah, I suppose I was probably one. I wouldn't have minded him coming in, just because I think we're lacking quality in the midfield. But
he might go into Juve and be amazing.
Yeah, it's just a stopgap signing again. It could have been. You don't know, do you?
No, and that's the problem with United is I think we've tried to sign elite players, and I think they just ended up being stopgap players. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Recruitment is just well off, isn't it? Really. That's really the big problem, because we've not. It's not like, you look at Liverpool now, and like what Klopp's done there is almost magic, really. But he's bought players that he knows will fit his style of play. United haven't done that. United will just be like, he's good, buy him. Like that's what. Or he's a big name, buy him. He'll sell shirts, buy him. And it's like we need.
That's what I mean.
Someone to come in who's got, like, so, like, to me, like, Ten Hag's got a proper philosophy at Ajax, and whoever comes in
has to fit.
Like, they sell a player, then they have a youth player come in, and he knows exactly how to play that role, because that's how he's been playing. So he just slots in. There's no, you know what I mean? So
that's when you have, like, I think that's what's happened over the past, well, even going back to Louis van Gaal and stuff. I think they've the club's always had a word with like the manager and said, well, we want this guy, what do you think about him? And he's like, no, it's like, I don't want him, I want this one. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, no, but if we get this guy, you know what it's like. It was sort of like that with marquee signers, the likes of, I'm not even going to say Maguire's a marquee, because we were never like truly convinced with the bloke, even when he was Leicester, you're like, fucking hell, 80 million shit. Yeah. But with Pogba and Sancho and players like that, those were pure, like
Lukaku, Sanchez,
massive Sanchez. They were just marquee signs that the clubs were like, PR was like,
yeah.
And you just wonder how much input the manager has in those. But to be fair, if a lot of those got put on a plate for me and I was Man United manager, I'd find it hard to turn them down. Especially like Alexis Sanchez, you were like, sure thing.
Yeah.
And he's been the worst of the lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's it, innit?
but it's such a we just got to hope that we've got back-to-back home games now. Southampton on Saturday. I mean, they did well against Spurs last night, which was a great result for us. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking, Jesus, if they play like that against us, they could tonk us.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with the Premier League at the moment. Those teams that are in mid-table are very good sides now, and it's only Man City and Liverpool that are able to get any type of consistency in the league because they're just so good, and teams are terrified of them. They've earned that
Yeah,
reputation of winning 1-0 before they even go out.
yeah,
But no one's afraid of Man United and Arsenal and Tottenham anymore. No one's afraid. Look at Brighton have played Chelsea off the park twice in the last month.
yeah,
Absolutely played them off the park. Yeah, got a point both times, but played them off the park. And the champions of Europe getting
yeah,
pasted by Brighton. If Brighton had a striker, oh my god, like that.
yeah.
That's a bloke who needs a chance at a big job, but it's whether he'd get
Potter,
one because he's English. If he was Potterino, maybe he would have.
I wouldn't want him to be next in line at United, though.
Oh no, maybe not yet, but
Very
maybe one
Spurs
more.
or something like that, or Arsenal. I
That's
think
the problem, though, isn't it? It'd suit Arsenal great, really would. There we go. I don't think he'd be Brighton for too long though. But there we are. That's football, isn't it?
Yeah,
Shite.
it is very shite.
Shite. So there we go.
But yeah, as it's just like I said, it's just frustrating at the moment. I just same old, same old. So it'd be an actual. I'll be really happy the next time we get 3 points.
Yeah, it's just we're not in a time where we're looking at the league table every week thinking, oh, we're only 3 points off the top or whatever. It's just you're taking every week by every week and just hoping you beat the team that you play on the day because
Yeah,
you look at every fixture now and you think, oh fucking hell.
yeah.
Like Burnley away, you're like, don't know.
Yeah, but like you say though, it's like the run of fixtures that Ranieri's had have not been. They've been bottom half teams, and like we've not really come away with maximum points. And then you're thinking, Jesus, what the hell are we going to be like when we play City, Liverpool, the Tottenhams, the Arsenals, who will be well up for fighting for fourth? We've got all these games. We've got a run of those games again, like we did. Under Ollie, it comes round again, doesn't it? You're playing the second half of the season, so it's like we got to win some of them, and that's like Jesus.
Yeah, that's the issue now. The Champions League's back now as well, so we're going to have Atleti in a couple of weeks again. So that those are going to be sandwiched in between a lot of big games for United. It's fuck. But
Champions League.
No, I think United are midweek again next week, aren't they?
Yeah, so I mean, 15th.
Oh, right.
Like, so we've got obviously Southampton on Saturday, and then Wednesday.
We got Brighton and we midweek next week.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, game in hand.
Yeah, so it's a week after then.
That's what I mean. Brighton could tonk us at Old Trafford. Genuinely they could beat us easy. They're that good. Honestly, I can't believe how good they are. Like every time I watch them, I just think, fuck me, if you could finish.
Well, they had Spurs in the FA Cup, didn't they, on the weekend? They lost 3-1, but like you said, they were all over Spurs.
Yeah,
like all over them.
It's not like they don't create chances either. It's not possession for possession's sake. They create tons. And you're just thinking you're going to hammer someone one day.
Yeah, one day, yeah.
One day, but when you got more pay up front, it's not good, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. He's a weird one though. Like he'll score like an insane goal one week and then miss about 58 shots. Like he's just weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's probably about it, really, to cover. I think for the first one back, is it?
For a first one back, it's just a quick.
Just to get us back up and running, get into it.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll have Ben back, or if not, we'll have someone else to fill in for him on the next one. So it's a bit of a three-way conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll leave it at that then, mate.
Sweet.
And thanks to everyone who will end up watching.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
All three of you.
Yeah, and we'll be back, hopefully. Try and make it maybe like a weekly thing again, like we did. If not, no more than 2 weekly. That would be nice.
Yeah, maybe bi-weekly,
Yeah.
Something like that. That'd be good.
Trying to fit it in. So
yeah.
But yeah, anyway, nice one for that, mate.
Yeah. See you again next week, maybe.
Yeah, speak to you soon.
Cheers.